Just have another commissioner that's almost here. Actually, two of them, board members, so we don't have a quorum yet. Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for coming. Today is Thursday, September 18th, 2025. The time is now 5:35 p.m., and this is a special joint meeting of the Boynton Beach Community Redevelopment Agency Board and the City of Boynton Beach Commission is now called to order. Let's proceed to the invocation led by Board Member Hay, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance led by Board Member Kelly. Let's all stand for the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us pray. Father, we thank you once again for another day. Thank you for the opportunity to come together as a board to discuss the issues that are before us and to make the right decision. Father, we ask that you be in the midst of all that we do and the decision that we make, that it will be for the betterment of the city of Boynton Beach and the citizens as a whole. Bless this board and those who have come out to give their input to the issues that are before us. And Lord, we'll be so careful to give you all the honor and all the praise that you deserve. For it's in your name that we do pray and ask it all. Let every heart say amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everybody. Let me turn to our city clerk, Maylee. If you could please begin the roll call.
Chair Shelton,
Present.
Vice Chair Hay,
Present.
Board Member Cruz,
Present.
Board Member Turkin,
Present.
Board Member Kelly.
Here.
Chair, you have a quorum.
Thank you. We are now moving on to additions, deletions, corrections to the agenda. Let's begin on my right with Board Member Cruz.
Nothing for me, Mayor. Thank you.
Board Member Hay.
I have nothing.
Board Member Kelly.
No, I'm good, thank you.
Board Member Turkin.
Oh, good to go. Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion to approve in a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Let's now turn to legal counsel. Are there any updates?
Nothing from legal, thank you.
Great. Information items to disclose. Can we start to my left with Board Member Turkin?
Nothing.
Board Member Kelly?
No, I don't have anything, thank you.
Board Member Hay?
Nothing.
And Board Member Cruz?
Nothing for me, thank you.
Great. Let's move on to the next portion of the agenda, which is public comment. The public comment section of the meeting is for the public comment on all items on the agenda or items that are not on the agenda. Each speaker will be given a total of 3 minutes to comment on all items on the agenda. However, the board retains the right to increase or decrease 3-minute limit prior to the start of public comment. Each public speaker shall be given the same number of minutes unless it becomes necessary to terminate a speaker's comments in order to maintain orderly conduct and proper decorum in a public meeting. Persons making public comment may not assign or donate their public comment time to another individual to allow the other individual time to comment. However, any persons requiring assistance will be accommodated as required by the American Disabilities Act. Prior to addressing the board, speakers present at the meeting will go to the podium to make their comments, and speakers participating virtually will unmute their device at the time requested. Speakers may be asked to state their name and address for the record. Any person may provide written comments to the board prior to the board meeting. Are there any public comments? If so, please come down.
Cindy Falco di Corrado. I wasn't aware that there was going to be road work done at 1 o'clock in the morning, but my house continues to shake with the work that they're doing on Boynton Beach Boulevard. I had to call to find out what is going on. Why is my house shaking? So again, I think that you should make the public aware if there's going to be work being done in the area so that you don't think you're losing your house at 1 o'clock in the morning. Also, as I walk down our wonderful little East Boynton Beach Avenue, I noticed the building that they're building with the apartments. It's a monstrosity. I pray that the colors and something helps hide some of it. Looks like the building fell down, even though I know it's their parking garage that looks like it's on our side in the downtown area, showing that really, I hope they put trees there or something, because it's really an eyesore. And I don't know where they're going to put trees, because it doesn't look like there's any land there. It's like they've filled every little spot with part of the building. I don't know if we're going to be talking about the mural and about if that's at another time. I don't mind to come back up and speak on that. Do I speak on that now or later?
Later.
Okay.
At the city commission.
And I didn't look at because the whole back is filled with police officers, so I kind of didn't know where to pick up a thing to read to see what we're talking about tonight, because I would like to address other issues, but I don't know. So if somebody could bring me one, I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
Is anyone else here for public comment for the CRA meeting?
My name's Joanne Fraser. I just have a quick question. Do you have any plans for Northeast 10th Avenue down where the old Dutch mill used to be?
We don't address anyone that comes up, but we can, if you want to give me your information, we can have some staff get back to you on this.
Please. Thank you.
Can you give your information to the clerk, please? Right here, Maylee. And then we'll have somebody get back to you. Anyone else for public comment?
Hi, Elizabeth Rowe. I just wasn't sure if we give any comment about what's going on with the boat club ramp park, or if that's later on to give comment.
Now would be your time.
Okay. We're not sure if anything was going through, but the people that live on our street, we just had some questions, and one of them was, we were just wondering if there was going to be a different entrance for coming in for whatever's going to be down there.
Ben, can you state your name first?
Oh, sorry, Elizabeth Rowe, 637 Oak Street, Boynton. So one of the first was, is there going to be a separate entrance for coming in for a bar and for boats? And the only reason why I ask about that is because if you try to pull in with a trailer and a boat and a car at the same time, it's very difficult to go in. Also, I was wondering on Oak Street if there's going to be any type of drainage work that would be done if anything's going on at the park at the end of the street. Also, where they might set up for this project, if it would be going down Oak Street or if it would be held over at the park. We also have signed for FP&L and cable lines to be dropped on Oak Street about a year ago. We also have a post that's been put up there, and everything's been kind of put to the side, so we were just wondering, going forward, if that's going to be done or not. If lighting will be updated, if new roads will be installed. Let me see. Also, I was asking about parking. I just noticed that recently, a lot of people used to park when we had a pier there for parking. And there are people that are paying to park their vehicle there, but the vehicles are supposed to be for trailers only. So even though they've paid to park, since they don't have a trailer because they're fishing there, they're getting tickets. So I just was wondering if that could be overlooked, or why they would be getting a ticket just because if there's no other parking. There's only 10 spaces. One's for handicap and the other one's for Coast Guard. Otherwise, there's really no single parking at the park if you wanted to go fish at the pier. I think that's about it for right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else for public comment before we check online? There is no one online, so we're going to close public comment. First item for discussion and consideration is the discussion and consideration of the CRA waterfront plan. Mr. Tack, will you open up this item?
Good evening, Board. Tim Tech,
Your mic
Acting
on.
Executive Director.
Your mic on.
I think so.
Okay.
Maybe I just need to be a little bit closer to it. All right, so at the September 9th CRA Board meeting, the CRA Board requested a joint meeting with the City Commission and the CRA Board to discuss a CRA waterfront plan. So that item is before your discussion and consideration tonight.
I can bring that up since I had requested this item. Just for clarification for members of the public, today we have a joint meeting between the city and the CRA. Typically, our commission meetings are at 6 p.m. So once we're done meeting now, we will break and we will come back to execute our normal city commission meeting in case anyone's a little bit thrown off. In regards to the CRA waterfront plan, what I'm looking for is just dialogue and input to incorporate this into our CRA master plan as we're looking to revise that and looking to really highlight optimizing and focusing on the waterfront in respect to economic development. So I just want this to be a key component of what we're looking at as we want to match our strategic plan with our city's economic development team and our CRA plan. And so I know this is going to take a lot of feedback from the community, from staff, and both the CRA. So I'm looking for consensus on just making sure that we highlight this item, and then maybe discussion later down the road of holding a community workshop and what that looks like.
Yes.
Quick question, Tim, as far as, I know we're in the early stages of the CRA, redoing the CRA, the master plan. What, can you just briefly, what typically happens as far as public workshops and that sort of thing when we're, there's usually a lot of steps involved that incorporate the public. So I just want to
There is quite a bit of input. I mean, there's even potentially to a SREP, but it's really up to the board what level you would want to get it out into the public and get that discussion. We do have an RFP in the hopper that's been waiting to go. So if indeed at the board's direction, we would be able to issue that and solicit proposals, and we would be able to work with a consultant if you decided to move in that direction. But as far as the public input, I mean, it could be as much or as little as you like. It's
And then-
completely up to the
right.
board.
And then as part of that RFP, do we highlight some of the key components like a waterfront plan or a commercial industrial plan or some of the things that are on the discussion tonight? Are those part of like our wish list? Is there? a
Right now
wish
it
list?
isn't, but it can be.
Okay. I'm in support of that. I think that we've made efforts to make our marina a key component of the city, and I think that that should definitely be part of our, our CRA plan moving forward. So I'm in support of that.
Any other comments?
Yes. I don't have any problem with discussing the CRA waterfront plan, but it's not a plan with me hearing it for the first time. I would like to ask questions to staff, and I'm just wondering why this is here before me now, and we're talking about CRA waterfront plan. And I just feel that it has not been discussed with me. I don't know. I haven't been out of town during the CRA time, so I'm just wondering where's all this coming from, and why haven't I been informed of this plan? When you plan something, that means there's been some input along the way, and maybe I didn't get the memo or the email, but I'm just wondering where's all this coming from? I don't know anything about it.
Board Member Turkin?
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, so in May, I'm not sure if we recall or not, but I think the last joint meeting, this body gave unanimous consensus that we were going to focus on economic development and optimizing waterfront tourism and taking a look at our most precious asset in Boynton Beach. After its people, its waterfront. And so we've discussed this in May, and this is a formal follow-up that, again, we got consensus on at the last CRA meeting. And so what this is to make sure that this is a topic of conversation as we redo our plan. There's nothing in specific as of right now, but this is to make sure that this isn't just an idea that isn't followed up with action, dialogue, and discussion.
But this is not the time for that because we haven't had that discussion. That's all I'm saying. I'm all for it when the time is right to discuss it, and we'll do it that way. But is this a reminder to the staff to make sure that's included? If that's what you're saying, fine.
Yes, that's what it is, sir.
Okay, with that, we'll let it go at that. But I'm not going to be discussing that tonight.
No, and I think we do need the community input, so it's
Correct.
good that we have the consensus for that and we accomplished that at this meeting.
Move right along.
Okay. No other discussion items? We can continue to move on?
Yeah.
Okay, next item for discussion and consideration is the discussion and consideration of commercial industrial development and land acquisition planning. Mr. Tack?
Again, at the September 9th meeting, the CRA board meeting, there was a request to have additional joint meeting tonight to discuss commercial and industrial development and land acquisition planning in general. That is the item before your discussion.
Any other comments? Anybody have anything on this item?
I think this is something that Board Member Cruz had put forward, so I'd like to hear from her first.
All right, yep, so as per the last CRA meeting, we received multiple offers from multiple different landowners that were interested in having the CRA purchase their property. This could be a very lengthy discussion, but I think it's important for us to work together as a team and figure out what it is that we're looking to do with the, I think, $13 million remaining that we have for land acquisitions with the CRA, in addition to the $2 million that is there for something else.
We have land acquisition for a parking structure as well.
Parking structure, okay. So
just wanted to have a quick discussion as to what do we see as our plan going forward, and kind of going from what goal we're going to have to then decide, what land we're going to procure.
Board Member Turkin, did you have something before I chime in on this?
Listen, I think this kind of ties into what we discussed, just before this, right? Land acquisition is going to tie in with what we want to do with both our strategic plan and our CRA plan. With the $13 million, we're under contract right now. Have we closed yet on the inn?
We are looking at towards the end of the month here.
All right, so we have a contract that's almost closed. We're under contract with the Oak Street project. No, we're not. We're still in discussions. Okay, so we don't have a contract yet. I am in support of that project, and I think that's already had consensus moving forward. I think everything else is, I think what would be beneficial would, and I hate to say this again, but have a workshop maybe looking at, that's focused on this, looking at the parcels that we have potential acquisition opportunity for, the parcels we own already, see what's contiguous, see what the zoning is, and I think what that entails is, again, both CRA and city staff being here, presenting a PowerPoint that maybe has a map of these potential parcels, and then that way we're not making hasty decisions, and we can make, educated staff recommended decisions, to move forward. I don't know if that's something I'm ready to do tonight or staff's ready to do tonight, but maybe the idea, if it's okay with you, Board Member Cruz and the rest of this body, is to maybe have a workshop where we can do that. Because a lot of times we see the city and the CRA overlap. I mean, we've seen a lot more ILAs in the last year, which I think is great, that this body's moving forward to more collaboration with both entities. And so maybe this is a more focused conversation that we need to have.
I agree that we do need a workshop because the properties are pretty spaced out, and if I had the information on all of them, this was a week ago, I'd have more questions and be able to ask it at the workshop. So I'm definitely in support of that. Board Member
Do you have an
Conley,
idea of when you would like to schedule something like that? In upcoming month, in January, or?
Maybe towards the end of the year, like November-ish.
I'm okay with
Just-
that,
Second
whatever.
meeting in
I'm
November.
flexible.
So the board's
So we can
aware.
give staff time to look into, because it's a lot of research.
Just so the board's aware, city staff and CRA staff have been meeting monthly to coordinate through budget, and will continue to do so. We have discussed potential January joint meeting, as well as potentially May. If you want to see something move up further or faster than that, we can do that too. But we were thinking maybe twice a year. That would be a good, moving forward. We could do that if you like.
Chair, if I may. Yeah, I would like to have the workshop at least sooner, because I think if we have a workshop, we can kind of really dial in on what we want to see in reference to this topic. And then as far as the joint meetings go, I would probably like to see that more quarterly, I think, because if we're then waiting, 6 months to approve something, I don't know if that's the best use of our time. And if we're just allowing things to kind of fall through the cracks. But for me, I think a workshop prior to January would be a little bit more beneficial, especially knowing that we have a contract ongoing, potential acquisitions at this time.
Yeah, I would like to see it in November, simply because we do start losing people for the holidays and community input, and it would be nice to get some of this beforehand.
So do we want to do the second commission meeting in November?
No,
Do it early,
a
or the
workshop.
CRA? Just
We're doing a
separate
workshop,
Workshop,
separate workshop. We can't do this. I mean, this is too important for us to have conversations about what we're gonna do with properties, and I imagine that, I would hope the CRA staff and city staff will work together, maybe a list of properties and discussion points for us to talk about of what we already have, what's been talked about. I made this very clear when we were discussing those 13 parcels, that before I even considered it, that I really knew what the resident buy-in was gonna be for those properties, because the last thing I would want to do is spend a lot of money on properties with an idea of what we have in mind. And then the residents, I know, Board Member Turkin and also Chair, this is your neighborhood, but, I would like to know that we have, resident support moving forward with whatever plans happen on that before we go and pull the trigger and spend that kind of money. And so that was a point that I made, a couple meetings ago, that, resident buy-in for these projects, when it's in their backyard is super important to me. So I like the idea of having a workshop where we can really take our time, listen to the public, and have an open conversation as opposed to trying to squeeze it in on a half hour before a meeting. So, and the joint meetings, I think we can be flexible with the joint meetings. Let's get the first one scheduled in January and then go from there. If we have stuff we need to talk about, we can always pop one on sooner, but I don't want to have a meeting just to have a meeting. Because there's a lot of staff here to run these meetings, so, these joint meetings, so. And thank you guys for pulling this together and doing this tonight, so.
I'd like to have that meeting before the middle of November, because now you're getting into the holidays and people are traveling, so.
There's 2 Saturdays in November. I actually, workshops work better on a Saturday because you get more
Yeah.
input from the public. I know
that's
it's a
fine.
drag on staff, but honestly, like you mentioned, trying to do that at a public meeting here is a little harder. It's not as, do it somewhere like that community room at PD or something like that. November 8th and 15th would be probably the 2 dates that we'll look at. We'll do that. I'll coordinate with Tim, and we'll look at those 2 dates and propose some times and get that coordinated with you.
Okay.
The 8th is good.
8th is good for me.
Yeah, the 8th is good
Good.
for me.
Good for me.
Earlier the better.
That's,
It's fine.
Let me put it in.
second Saturday.
Okay. Okay, any other comments before we move on? Next item for discussion and consideration is the discussion and consideration of the city procurement policy. Mr. Tack?
Catherine Rosmell, CRA Legal, will be presenting this item.
Hi, good evening, Catherine Rossmell, Lewis, Longman, and Walker. This item is before you just to work out some of the procedural niceties related to your search to fill the executive director role of the CRA. As you all are aware, the CRA operates under the city's procurement policy and has let forth several methods to try to secure an executive director, including advertising, using a headhunter, issuing a request for proposals. And so under the city's procurement policy, there is a waiver provision that exists. So I've asked, and the city has kindly provided their purchasing director to come here tonight to simply confirm that we could enact a waiver policy. And upon his confirmation that that's an accurate read of the city procurement policy, I will ask you all if you'd like to secure a waiver so that we can consider all the options. So if you wouldn't mind. So just for clarity in the record, can you state your name?
Yeah, good evening. Andrew Rozwadowski. I'm the Procurement Division Director for City of Boynton Beach.
Perfect, thank you. And can you just confirm that under the city's procurement process, the governing body has the authority to waive procurement procedures upon a finding that it's in the best interest of the body they represent, and if it's based on appropriate factual findings?
Absolutely, yes.
All right, perfect, thank you very much. Thank you for coming for that. Okay, so if this board would like, right now you have, there are several parallel tracks that are before you. You have issued an RFP, and you have secured a headhunter or a recruitment specialist to secure an individual person that might serve as your executive director. Currently, it's difficult for you to compare those two things because they've been running in parallel process. If you so elect tonight, you may waive I'll waive the ordinary procurement processes to allow you to compare those somewhat apples to apples. This finding does require you to make factual findings, including a consideration of time constraints, which in this case, the information shows that we have been without an executive director since October 10th of 2023. This is an unusual position, and it is a service that is particular to a person or a company that it could provide. In other words, it's not fungible. We couldn't just go get pens from another supplier, or we could go get pens from another supplier with about equal results. That may not be true of an executive director position. And the RFP that came back resulted in one corporation that applied and one individual that applied. So it came back a little bit unusually, I think, relative to what the expectations may have been. So given those factual findings, if you all agree with those factual findings and support them, you may vote at this moment to waive the procurement processes pursuant to the procurement code. And then after that, you'd be able to secure an executive director in whatever format you found appropriate.
Any comments from the board? Any questions?
No, Chair, no questions. This was something that I had brought up after, 2 CRA meetings ago when we had lots of different angles going, after reflecting on that meeting, and seeing that, we were probably needing to make a decision sooner rather than later. I got with city staff and CRA staff to really look at making sure that we looked at all of our options. And I spoke to Andrew, and he told me of our procurement policy and how there is this waiver opportunity where we could really holistically look at the options and discuss it. And I know, during that meeting, Chair/Mayor, but Chair, I know that, there was options to go with a person or go with a company. And so I wanted to bring this up so we could make a decision, because I didn't want to string it longer than it really needed to be. We weren't sure how many responses, like you mentioned, Catherine, how many responses we were going to get to an RFP. And as Andrew can say, can tell us, sometimes we get, 50 responses to an RFP, which could drag it out for months and months. And so now we're in a position where we only had really one, I feel like, qualified response to the RFP. So I feel like we're in a different situation today than we otherwise would have been. So, that's why I brought this up. So I would move to waive the procurement requirements for this item specifically, to kind of move this forward.
I'll second that.
I have a question. Catherine, what would happen if we do not waive the procurement code? I do believe there's a reason why we have procurement policies, and I'm not a fan of going around our policies. I think there's a reason why they exist. So can we talk about what would happen if we do not waive that and what that process would look like?
Sure, absolutely. So right now, though, there is a general, in the city procurement policy, there is a general exception for procurement of management consultants. But the way it reads, it would essentially be the consultants that are under the authority of your executive director in this case, because we somewhat translate the city procurement code to the CRA, so the titles change a little. So it is not completely out of line that a management consultant would be procured outside the normal competitive procurement process. It just wasn't natively available to the CRA at this point. You have issued an RFP. You could go through and if this process is not waived, you can go through and consider the responses, or you may reject all the responses. You've also secured an individual who's indicated interest in serving in the executive director role through Renee Narlock and Associates. You could also elect to consider her. The difficulty lies a little bit in the fact that those were secured through 2 different processes. And so just to have the discussion with you all be able to take place in sort of one conversation, it makes sense to waive the procurement processes so that you can talk about consideration of the candidate at the same time as you can talk about the consideration of those who responded to the RFP. In addition, roles like this are often exempt and in statutory situations for other agencies. But the sort of upper level management roles are often exempt from ordinary procurement processes, so it isn't, it's a fairly standard practice to make a personal selection based on the opportunities available.
So is there something that precludes us from looking at the response to the RFP as well as the job applicant?
I would not recommend that you consider responses to an RFP and responses to a separate procurement at the same time.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
And recapping what you said, we've been trying to find someone since October of 2023 through the headhunter, obviously, and we're just, and now we're out to RFP, but we've been trying for 2 years to find this. So waiving the procurement process is more of an efficient route at this time to expedite things, to keep, to get them moving, because we've just been stagnant. Is that correct? Am I?
Yes, ma'am, although
Okay.
to clarify, we've not engaged with Renee Narlock and Associates for that entire time. There were several processes that were done first. She was
Yeah.
a more recent addition to the effort to locate an executive director.
But we had a prior headhunter before.
No, ma'am,
So
we
just put
we
it out to-
advertised
okay.
and,
Yeah, so we've
Yeah.
had 2 years of trying to look for the right talent. Okay, just
Yes, ma'am.
since I'm still the new kid on the block, I wanted to make sure.
yes, ma'am. And if I may also, if you would like to consider a friendly amendment to your motion, not from me, but you are also need to make findings of fact. So if you would like to accept the facts presented by staff concerning the time constraints and the uniqueness of the position as part of your motion, that would help it be correct under the policy.
One more question. Is there any type of rule with regard to reasonable time frame to review an RFP?
Is a rule?
The reason I'm asking is because my understanding, well, there was only one response, but generally speaking, my understanding is that it closed on the 16th, and there were two?
There was a company and then an individual.
Yeah.
There were two responses. The original timeframes that were posted in the RFP indicated that, that this was not the original date to consider the RFP. An addendum was issued on Friday and put out in the same channels as the RFP was put out, notifying of the date change. Even if you waive the procedures tonight, you are under no obligation to make the decision tonight. You all do have a meeting set on October 7th. So you could waive the policy tonight, take the time if you'd like to consider the options, and then make a final decision on the 7th.
Thank you, because the responses were due by September 16th, is my understanding. It was received yesterday, and it was given to my admin. And I work a full-time job. I have not had time to review the entirety of both the RFPs that were submitted. So I do believe that there should be a reasonable time frame for board members making such an important decision to fully review what we're voting on and what we're agreeing to, especially with a decision of this caliber. So I just wanted to keep the board to keep that in mind.
If I may offer a procedural comment, I apologize for continuing to jump in. Oh, sorry, please.
Just to clarify, before we get into that dialogue, we have a motion on the table to waive that procurement services. And from what you mentioned, Catherine, is in order to even have that conversation, we would need to waive that.
I'm sorry
Correct.
if that was not clear. We can discuss the procedural portions of an RFP at this point. Again, I wouldn't discourage, I would not
Not the
recommend,
content of
not
the
the content, the
applications.
applications, correct. So, and to clarify procedurally, if you all elect to waive the procurement procedures tonight, the basis for doing that would be that you do not wish to undertake the ordinary RFP process because you already have that in motion. So if you waive tonight, you could then vote to essentially reject all the responses to the RFP and then just consider anything that you want on October 7th. So just, I want you to understand procedurally, if you elect to waive the policy tonight, right, then you may then decide that you don't wish to continue under the RFP process. That'll have to be a separate decision, and that you would like to just consider all of the options before you.
And can we do the opposite? The question is, are we allowed to consider one of these options if we waive this policy tonight?
If you waive the policy tonight, you may consider any option.
Okay, thank you.
Other comments before we?
No, so I'm just going to amend my motion to accept the fact and findings of staff as it pertains to the waiver of the procurement policy.
Second.
We now have a motion on the table, and we have a second. All of those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say nay.
Nay.
Motion passes 4-1.
Okay, at this juncture, you have waived all of the ordinary procurement processes, which means you are no longer bound to follow a competitive solicitation process. You have already put out a competitive solicitation, so at this point, you may elect to proceed with it. You may elect to reject all bids. You may elect to consider the candidate that has been brought forward by Renee Narlock and Associates. We'll need your direction on how to proceed, and I can assist with any motions that may be necessary to procedurally perfect that process.
Chair.
Yes.
So, and I will speak for myself. I won't speak for anyone else, but when we went down this road 2 meetings ago, I was anxious to fill this spot, and after reflecting, after that meeting and really taking into consideration my colleagues, in particular you, Chair, that position works closely with the chair, and I certainly wouldn't want to have someone in that position that you did not support and did not feel like was a good fit for you. And I, so upon reflection, I think that, we did, proceed or decide to move forward with an individual candidate as well as looking at, the RFP. But I know that you had voted against the individual selection because, and you have your reasons, and I won't go into that because that's up to you. But because you felt that that wasn't the right fit, I feel like it's my duty to support you in that, because we really need to make sure that everyone on this dais is in agreement with who will move forward. And so the chair that we have is, she is very involved in all the aspects of the city and is meeting with staff on a regular basis, and I really wanted her to feel comfortable with whoever this new executive director is. And so if that means that we move forward with a firm until we find the right fit, we need to move the CRA forward. We need to start with our comprehensive plan. We need to start putting forth the things that are important to this board. And so, so that's my position on that, is that after that meeting, upon reflecting, I really want to make sure that you, Chair, are really comfortable with the position. And so, so I'm going to support you on your position.
I appreciate that, Board Member Kelly. Board Member Turkin, do you have anything before I say something?
Yes, thank you, Chair. I also have a full-time job, and I think we can all agree this takes a lot of full-time time. And I did review the RFP of both applicants. I made my position very known as far as the single candidate recruitment from the headhunter. Looking at this RFP, I am extremely impressed with what was proposed, especially comparatively to the other one. And the experience, the knowledge, just the granular details of what the plan will be was extremely impressive. And I do not want to miss this opportunity to move forward. So with that, I would like to make a motion to move forward with RMA as the executive firm.
I would like to ask a question. I'll second for discussion. How many pages were the responses to the RFP? Anybody that can answer that?
Say that again.
How many pages were the responses to the RFP? There were 2 responses. We're claiming that we reviewed this entire thing in less than 24 hours. How many
First
pages?
one
There's at
was-
least 50, 60 pages in best estimate, give or take.
Well, the first one was only 18,
Right.
besides other documents, and then you have a full presentation of RMA. So,
It was emailed yesterday as well, digitally, before the hard copies were delivered.
yeah, which
Yesterday, right.
minus all of the documents, you're looking at the same.
We're
thing.
having this meeting at 5:30 PM after a full day of work. I don't believe that this is enough time to review it. I'm not against going forward with any of the proposed applicants, but I do think that this is an important enough decision that we need to give a reasonable time frame. And even when we have commission meetings and things on the agenda, a reasonable time frame oftentimes means about at least 3 to 4 days or a week of letting people know that this is going to be up for a vote. I strongly would suggest to the board to give this a reasonable time frame. I don't believe that 24 hours is enough time to review this, knowing that today was a full workday and we had this meeting at 5:30. So unless you guys already, I won't say any further than that, but I think that there should be a little bit more time to review this. Nobody is going to withdraw from this after spending time and effort in submitting an application. And I do believe that it is in the best interest of the residents, of the taxpayers, to have an educated board and to be able to have a decision that's made with facts and figures and within a reasonable time frame. That's all I'm asking.
Sure, if I may.
Please.
Yeah, I think part of that is, I'll speak for myself. I take doing my due diligence extremely seriously, and I've made an effort to be diligent about this because we've been at this for 2 years, right? This is not a new thing.
24 hours?
We've been looking for an executive leader for 2 years.
We received the responses to
I'm
this
not done
RFP on the
talking.
16th,
Right. No, we're not
and
gonna-
we received it yesterday afternoon by email.
Can I finish? Because what one individual may think is urgent doesn't necessarily another does. You can't compare one's work ethic or urgency to another. And I don't appreciate that because it seems like that's undermining my ability of comprehension.
So, Catherine, real quick, so right now there's a motion and it was seconded. That just says that we're gonna go down this road. We would still have to talk about, we would still have a presentation, we would still talk about a contract. And then if that didn't work and we didn't, then we're back to square one. So I mean, can you please just explain briefly what this, what the
Sure.
finality is of where we are?
So I was going to advise that the motion to accept a particular company is premature if we go down the RFP. Right now, you still have an RFP. You have not dispensed with the RFP. If you're going to evaluate it, then you need to follow the evaluation of proposals that's set forth in the RFP, which does include scoring and running through the entire process. If you all wish to do that tonight, you can. If you wish to make that available to you on the 7th, staff and legal can be prepared to bring that to you. It's whatever you wish, but it is, unless you are completely dispensing with the RFP, which you may reject all bids, and then you may elect to have staff and legal try to negotiate with any one of your choosing. You can do that, but if we stay under the RFP, the process at this point needs to be followed unless, we take further actions to dispense with that.
It's just sort of strange to me that I too just received this not that long ago, and I feel we're trying to rush things a little bit. Yes, we have been at this for over 2 years, and it just surprises me that we're trying to find the perfect match, and at the same time, we selected a person in the highest position of the city who didn't have the full qualification. And so I'm wondering what is the difference? We gave the direction to staff to start some kind of contract negotiation with one of the individuals that we thought and we agreed on that qualified. And I don't know, I believe they have that under contract or close to it. But again, here we are talking about going with, I haven't read this, I haven't had the opportunity to look at it yet because it was just given to me. And I think, again, we're rushing things. And I don't understand why we've been waiting for too long, for 2 years, why all of a sudden that we're in such a hurry to go with a consultant rather than looking at those that are qualified, that are waiting to get this position and are qualified to do it. So I'm not ready to make a decision tonight. I would be looking at this with a fine-tooth comb, and I'll be ready by October 7th or whenever our next meeting is to make a decision on this. But something doesn't feel right here. I'm not a witch doctor or nothing like that. I'm not saying that, but it just doesn't feel right to be given something and asked to make a decision right now when we've had over 2 years to consider this. So I'm not ready tonight to make a decision.
I will just say this. It has been 2 years. We are dealing with budget. We are dealing with big decisions. We are dealing with acquisitions of parcels. And if the right candidate had come along before I was this chair, I would have trusted that this board would have chosen one. But out of all of the applications that we received to date, in my opinion, everyone, minus being able to read these documents, everyone has had plenty of time to go to those municipalities that we received those applicants and see what those cities were like. And they did not match Boynton. They did not have the challenges of Boynton. They did not have the experience in every single capacity that we need to run this CRA properly, whether that was for the historical side, whether that was for budgeting, whether that was for attracting the right business, whether that was for land acquisition. You couldn't combine all of those applicants at one together and get enough. So I don't think we're rushing it. I think that we have been waiting and waiting, and finally we open up to an RFP process and get a company that has a proven track record, and I'll stand behind it. Board Member Turkin, you have something to say?
No, just want to, there's a motion on the table. If I can just get some clarification. That motion is to move forward with, we have the ability to move forward with a selection from the RFP, and then at the October 7th meeting, we could have a presentation and make the final decision at that point in time.
I'd like to make a clarification. I believe your motion was for a specific selection, and that is premature prior to the
Okay.
evaluation process, so it may be prudent at this point to withdraw that motion.
Okay, I'll withdraw that motion.
Okay, thank you. And then, if you all would like to make a motion to direct staff and legal to continue with the RFP process and prepare for October 7th, we will do that, if that's your wish. And at that point, I would also ask that you consider whether you would like for staff to terminate negotiations with the candidate presented by Renee Narlock and Associates and terminate that contract as well, just, or bring them back, whatever is your preference, but we'll need direction on those two things separately.
Yeah, so I've made my position known. I read through that presentation twice, yesterday and today, and a once-over before this meeting, and that's why I was late, sorry. And so I mean, just looking at this comparatively to everything else we've seen, this is a great opportunity. I would like to move forward. I guess the question is, do we move forward with the RFP, or do we have the ability to select them now? I guess that's what I'm understanding. And then in doing either of those things, do we have to eliminate or terminate the negotiations with the candidate from Renee's firm?
Sure, so there's several questions there. The first is you may consider them now if you run through the full RFP evaluation process, or you may choose to reject all of the bids, and then you can just select someone without running through the evaluation process. So those are options to consider the candidates that have done by RFP. You are not required to terminate the discussions with Renee Narlock and Associates and Chris Morey, the candidate put forward. If you'd like to consider all of the options at the October 7th meeting, you may also do that.
Okay.
So just, I guess, Chair, I'll defer to you on this, but I'm comfortable with continuing with, giving my colleagues an opportunity to review. I had an opportunity to review what we received as well. But an opportunity to review the RFP October 7th is not too far away, to really look at that and make sure that everyone has an opportunity to review what was presented, and but I'm glad we're at least, moving that forward. So that's my position on that. I think it just gives everyone an opportunity to review the information, and if you're okay with that, then
I am.
that's fine.
So
And I ask the board to please do their research, and if that means driving down to these other municipalities and seeing, instead of just trusting what's on paper or what's said, because the proof is in the economics of these other cities, and you can see it.
Sure, if I may. So I'll make a motion to continue the RFP process and have that presentation on October 7th, and ultimately make that decision then with not stopping the negotiations with the current candidate. Is that okay?
I'll second for discussion, and I do have to say, I agree with that. I think that's reasonable. It gives the board more than 24 hours to review, although we have been in this process for 2 years. It is inaccurate to say that we have been reviewing this for 2 years because we just received the RFP results yesterday. So I just want to clarify for the record. I would be fine with discussing this on October 7th after we actually review a presentation and not vote prematurely before we review a presentation. Thank you.
We have a motion on the table to continue the RFP process to present on October 7th, not stopping the negotiations with the Renee
Narlock and Associates,
Narlock
yes,
and
ma'am.
Associates. So we have a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed say nay. Motion passes unanimously.
For that meeting.
Chair, I'm going to go ahead and ask that we table 9D, given the discussion that we just had.
Agree. Do I have a second?
Motion to table.
Second.
We have a motion to table 9D, and I have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes unanimously. If there's anything else from my colleagues tonight, if not, further discussion, we have a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion to adjourn, we have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We will take a 5-minute break, mainly.
Yes.
While we set up for the commission meeting. Thank you so much for everyone in the room. If you could just be patient with us for 5 minutes.